We'll do a different chord. That sounds like shit. You're listening to Trigger Warnings Challenging Talk Radio. With radical empathy at its core, I'm Chris Smith here in the high desert. John Ross is on the line in the heart of American carnage.
It is spring in the land of American carnage.
It is spring?
You know what that means as the weather gets warmer in the heartland of American carnage?
What does it mean?
More carnage.
Oh, really?
Well, violence is always greater in hot weather.
Well, here on Trigger Warnings, we are trying a new format, a new game show, as it were. John has prepared 10 questions. I have prepared 10 questions, plus a bonus warm-up question, and we will bounce back and forth as before and ask each other riveting, socially relevant questions.
But it is not a game show. It's more of a Jeopardy style, a level of quiz show that is at the intellectual capacity of a Jeopardy viewer.
I had one person.
Not
Not a game show then, because there is no prize.
It's not.
Okay, well,
Life is a game. It is not a game show.
would you like your warm-up question?
I'd love to, because I don't have one for you.
Okay, your warm-up question. Who said this quote? Quote, once the toothpaste is out of the tube, it's hard to get it back in.
That's said every day of the week. Because it's a warm-up question. Okay, who said it?
Was it A, self-demoting Senator Devin Nunes? B, self-effacing comedian Woody Allen? C, late selfless humorist Don Rickles? Or D, Nixon crony H.R. Haldeman?
Well, there's no context to this question. And it sounds like in context a Nixonian thing. So I'm going with the late great H.R.
Yes, you are correct. Once the toothpaste is out of the tube, it's hard to get it back in. John has won the warm-up, and therefore the toss-up, and therefore he will go first in our battle royale. Isn't that nice?
The battle royale. Thank you. My questions were, so it's like the toss-up, the coin toss question. I like that.
That's right.
My questions are much less wordy this week, which may or may not be good. All right, you ready? I want the president's ear, said this recently minted Fox News commentator in response to questions around joining the network. Who said it? Former HHS Secretary Kathleen Sebelius, now a Fox contributor on health policy. Texas Republican and former Congressman Steve Stockman, the Tea Partier who challenged incumbent John Cornyn in the 2014 Republican Senate primary, now a contributor on border security and immigration. C, Louisiana Republican former senator and failed gubernatorial candidate David Vitter, now freed from prostitutes, or so he says, now a Fox contributor on budget and fiscal issues. Hollywood super agent Ari Emanuel, brother of the mayor of Chicago, now a Fox business contributor on the business of the entertainment industry. Or Ezekiel Emanuel, contributor to Obamacare and head of health policy at the University of Pennsylvania, now a Fox News contributor on healthcare issues. Kathleen Sebelius, Tea Partier, former Congressman Steve Stockman, former Republican Senator David Vitter, or one of the Emanuel brothers who's not the mayor of Chicago.
I'm going to go with an Emanuel brother, and I'm not sure which one to go with. I'm not sure I care, so that makes it a tough choice. Let's go with D.
Ari.
Yes.
The Asian. You're so close.
Oh.
Ari negotiated the deal for Zeke.
What?
But Zeke Manuel has met with the president several times, and he wants the president's ear, so he's using Fox as a mouthpiece for it. It is Ezekiel, kill me when I'm 75, Emmanuel.
Oh. All right, so you need to keep score because I have nothing to write with. You
Or keep it by number. I was tempted to make that whole question about Emmanuel. Like I envisioned a question where it could be Zeke, Ari, Ram, Emmanuel Lewis, and O come Emmanuel. But I didn't do it.
Or Emmanuel Kant. But you can't do it. Okay, the score is 0-0. And John...
And given that you went, yes, you went first, so I'm 0 for round 1. In the bottom of the first, my question is...
Here is your chance. Who said this week? Quote, I see some bad press in his future. Was that A, Jared Kushner talking about Steve Bannon? B, Steve Bannon talking about Jared Kushner? C, an unnamed White House source talking about Jared Kushner's role in ousting Steve Bannon from the National Security Council? Or D, Palm Beach, Florida Mayor Gail L. Coniglio on a homeless man who won't stop protesting in front of Mar-a-Lago. Quote, I see some bad press in his future. Was that Jared Kushner on Steve Bannon, Steve Bannon on Jared Kushner, somebody at the White House on Jared Kushner's role in ousting Steve Bannon, or the mayor of Palm Beach, Florida? John, your answer.
Well, the Palm Beach question is a diversion. I'm not going to be diverted.
Oh, okay.
Jared Kushner would not have said that about Steve Bannon, not publicly. Steve Bannon might have said it about Jared Kushner, but not publicly. So the answer could be two of them, but it's going to be the anonymous person who might be Steve Bannon talking about Jared Kushner. That's the answer.
That's right. Oh, boy. John has scored.
You notice the inductive reasoning that goes into my thinking?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Come on, give me a chance. I want to win.
The score at the end of round 1, or the first inning, is Dr. Ross 1, Dr. Smith 0. Question 2. As we speak, golf's first major tournament of the year, the Masters, is wrapping up in Augusta, Georgia. The defending champion is not in contention. From what country does he hail?
Why do you ask me about things that I don't care about? Oh, okay.
You could care. I don't. All right. So, from what country does the defending champion hail? Germany, England, the United States, Australia, Argentina, or Northern Ireland?
Argentina.
Yeah, I feel Argentina. No, the answer is, if I gave you his name, I'll give you a half point. I'll give you a tiebreaker half point.
No. I don't want your half-breaker tie point. No.
Okay. The defending Masters champion is a man named Denny Willett, and he's English.
Okay, then. Well, see, I don't care. But professional golf is like the last thing on my radar, man. All right, well...
Okay.
No, it is. It is okay. And we move on.
I know.
Here's your chance to kick my butt. Let me give you a harder one than that. I've got quote.
You're already panicked.
Huh?
You're already panicked.
I'm already what?
You're already in panic mode.
I know. All right. Well, here's another quote.
Your bag of tricks.
Who said this week? The United States doesn't just interfere in elections. It overthrows governments it doesn't like, institutes military dictatorships. Simply in the case of Russia alone, it's the least of it. The U.S. government, under Clinton, intervened quite blatantly and openly, then tried to conceal it, to get their man Yeltsin in all sorts of ways. So this, as I say, it's turning the United States again into a laughing stock in the world. Who said that? Was it A, leftist Yoda, Noam Chomsky? B, our man in the streets, Dr. Cornel West? C, ever-rising Democratic starlet Bernie Sanders? Or D, Hugh Hefner wannabe and all-around asshole Bill Maher?
Oh, that's a really good question.
Thank you.
And I watched Bill Maher. Do you always stick Bill Maher in because you know I watch Bill Maher and that I like Bill Maher and that I might say this is something Bill Maher said, but this could easily have been Dr. Chomsky, Brother West, Sister Sanders, or it's Chomsky.
Oh, man, it is Chomsky. Yes, you're right. You're right, and that was this week.
We are through two. But this is what happened last week.
Yeah, that's true. All right, give me a chance. Give me a chance to win. Come on.
All right, here's a question about something you might care about. Third inning, top of the third. Here's the quote. They think Jared, and Kushner is in parentheses because they do not use his name, but they think Jared can do everything. This statement was made by an anonymous individual complaining about what the rising influence and portfolio of the president's son-in-law means to his or her entity's diminishing areas of influence. From what entity, or for what entity, was this anonymous quasi-leaker speaking? A, Breitbart News, talking about the palace coup that diminished Steve Bannon's West Wing influence. B, the Veterans Administration doing very little these days as its issues are part of Kushner's responsibilities. C, the State Department, where the only approved budget increases are for the duct tape that fits perfectly over Rex Tillerson's mouth. D, the Department of Housing and Urban Development facing budget cuts and the interminable education of its leader, Dr. Ben Carson, while he continues a practice of taking 10-hour naps on the job. Or E, the Food and Drug Administration, now hampered by budget cuts and Kushner's presumed priorities concerning that opioid abuse issues could be put on the back burner. Who said Jared Kushner can do everything out of concern for his or its declining place at the table? Breitbart, VA, State Department, HUD, FDA.
I'm going to go with the VA.
Is that your final answer?
Oh, no, it is. It is.
No, it's the State Department.
Oh, why? See, I do care, but I don't know. I'm losing interest, too. Oh, man. So the score is what? 3-0?
No, it's 2-0. Bottom of the third. The score is Dr. Smith 0, Dr. Ross 2.
All right.
So Dr. Ross is coming up the bat ready for a fastball in inning 3.
Here's your fastball. Who said this week? There's not any argument at this stage that somehow the election of President Trump was not legitimate. But there's no question that there was a very serious effort made by Mr. Putin and his government, his organization, to interfere in major ways with our basic, fundamental democratic process. In some quarters, that would be considered an act of war. I'm sorry, but...
I'm sorry, too. Is I'm sorry part of the quote?
No, it's not. It's not. I needed to remember which was the right answer. Because I did not note it here, and I have noted it. And I was about to apologize for that, but no, I remember. Okay, you want the quote again here? There's not any...
No, I got...
Oh, you got the quote. Okay, who said that? Was it A, Pennsylvania native Tom Ridge, former Secretary of Homeland Security? B, the Honorable Representative Maxine Waters? C, allegedly immoral talking head Bill O'Reilly? Or D, Mad Dog Dick Cheney?
Well, Maxine Waters wants to send Trump and O'Reilly to jail, so it's not Maxine Waters. I thought I heard that said this week, but I don't think it was by any of these people. I don't think it's O'Reilly. Well, Cheney said something about this recently, and I'm gathering, and Cheney's no fan of Trumpolini either. I'm going to go, well, my instinct says Cheney, but the common sense says Ridge. I'm going to go with Cheney.
Is that your final answer? Are you sure?
Yeah, it is. Might as well be.
You sure it's not Tom Ridge?
No, it's Dick Cheney.
It is Dick Cheney. Well done. Well, listen to you laughing with glee.
No, I thought I heard it from the. All right, here's a question you care about, but it's not a quote. Well, it's taken from a quote, but it's more a narrative. All right, Question 4, top of the fourth. You need one here. Many women have accepted payouts from Fox, Molester, and cash cow Bill O'Reilly recently, but one, Wendy Walsh, hasn't, opting to go public and becoming the first accuser to use the network's HR complaint line. How did Walsh, according to multiple interviews this week, know that Riley was putting the harassment moves on her? A, he reached under the table and caressed her leg and thigh. B, after dinner, when the two had agreed to continue their business conversation, he went toward the elevator leading to his suite while she went toward the bar. C, during dinner, he made radar eyes at her cleavage. D, throughout the dinner, he made progressively suggestive comments about how other women have advanced at the network by taking advantage of his, quote, assets, unquote. E, at dinner, he made several comments about how Roger Ailes' behavior toward women was seen as harassing and that his relationship with Walsh could be purely physical without any business connection.
It's the last one. I think it's the last one. This is
you
deep.
Want me to reread them, or?
This is deep into the Bill O'Reilly psyche.
So, yeah, Wendy Walsh said how she realized she was being hit on, harassed. And you say it's because Bill tried to divert her by talking about how Roger Ailes was a harasser, but you could have a relationship with me and it would be safe. And that sounds like something Bill O'Reilly would say and do, but he didn't.
Oh, no.
No. He said, let's continue this conversation. And they left the restaurant, and he went toward the elevator to his suite, and she went to the bar, and then she didn't realize until the end they had turned in opposite directions, and she eventually said, no, I don't think it's appropriate to go to your room. I'll sit in the bar. And then things went downhill from there.
Wow.
I heard her interview. She was very good.
Yeah, apparently you did.
I made really good mental notes because the question was, how did you realize that he was? Anyway, entering the bottom of the fourth, I am pitching a no-hitter.
You are, and here's
with my simplified questions.
I know.
Questions they become that. I need to learn from this. Okay, yeah, bottom of the fourth, and I keep it up. That's what she said.
According to RedState.com, House.
Okay. Deadspin? Is that Deadspin?
No, Red State.
Red State.
Yes, RedState.com. House Speaker Paul Ryan scored a major victory this week. What was it? Was it A, defeating Mitch McConnell in an arm wrestling match? B, being invited to Mar-a-Lago this weekend for meetings with high-ranking officials. C, successfully navigating a zoning issue in his district through submitting a well-written op-ed to the local paper. Or D, raising a record $7 million for the National Republican Congressional Committee.
And I swore that when you asked that question, I said it had to have something to do with how Paul Ryan did on his Final Four bracket. And so I'm completely now that it has nothing to do with basketball. But I think it's the $7 million fundraising haul.
Man. Yes, John. Yes, it's a blowout. It's a blowout. It's an
Wow.
unwinnable situation here on Trigger Warnings.
No, it's not unwinnable.
Oh, it's not?
No, it's only 4-0. There's 6 rounds left. You can win or tie. But as they say in sports, the magic number for me to clinch is 3. Okay, top of the 5th.
Okay.
Still pitching it up here. In an era of virtual reality and fake news, there's a new, easy way for folks with bucks to, quote, see, unquote, Mount Everest. What is it? A, personalized virtual 3D tours from a virtual base camp located at an 18,000-foot peak that can be turned on remotely. These are cameras that can be turned on remotely by a Swiss-based company offering real-time 360-degree tours of the mountain for $2,500 an hour. 2, personalized tours by helicopter offered by a Nepalese company, Sherpa Tours, costing upwards of $5,000 for a half-day circling, weather permitting, of some of the mountain's high points. C, champagne brunch catered by a high-end London restaurant, highlighted by a helicopter tour if you have the cash, based at the world's highest altitude lodge. Or D, guided tours offered by certified Sherpas and those who successfully climbed Everest in an approved mountaineering expedition, a la Make-A-Wish, by a company called Bucket List Limited. 3D tours with cameras that can be remotely turned on to offer a real-time 360-degree tour from 18,000 feet. Personalized tours by helicopter that cost upwards of $5,000 for a half day, circling some of the mountain's high points. The company that provides them is called Sherpa Tours. C, a champagne brunch catered by a London restaurant, and a helicopter tour if you have the cash that is based at the world's highest altitude lodge. Or D, guided tours for kind of people wanting their end-of-life type of experience. And they're offered by qualified Sherpas and people who've climbed the mountain before, and the company that puts them together is called Bucket List Limited.
It's between Bucket List Limited and the just helicopter tours. Helicopter tours, I don't know, that seems dangerous. I'm going to go with the last one, the Bucket List company.
Bucket List, isn't that a great question? So it's amazing what you can do with things you get off FARC.
Yeah.
No, it's a champagne brunch catered by a high-end London restaurant at the world's highest altitude lodge, 13,000 feet. That's a FARC story. You got FARCed. That's what she said.
Yeah, well, you know what? I don't care about the practices of the elite, okay?
I gave you a Bill O'Reilly question. I gave you a Jared Kushner question. You didn't get those either. You can't say you don't care.
Maybe I don't, actually. Maybe there's a learning experience here. All right. Look, here's your chance to continue to kick my butt.
This is to clinch a tie. If I get this right, I do no worse than a tie.
That's right. What did the board of oil giant BP announce this week? A, that they were expanding Arctic drilling thanks to improved technology. B, that they were beginning construction of an offshore floating solar field. C, that they were cutting their CEO's salary by 40%. Or D, that they were pledging an additional $10 million to shoreline restoration following the Gulf oil spill in response to continued community complaint. What did the board of oil giant BP announce this week?
So, repeat the answer because I wasn't sure it was.
It was A, Arctic drilling. B, an offshore floating solar field. C, they were cutting their CEO's salary by 40%. Or D, that they were pledging an additional $10 million to shoreline restoration following the Gulf oil spill in response to continued community complaint.
It's too tempting to go with the CEO pay cut because I don't think they would do that. They're doing well. So I'm going to avoid the obvious pick up my ears answer and get rid of that one. Arctic, you've got floating solar panel, whatever the heck that is. And, they're doing a lot of marketing around the Gulf. They keep saying, and they have those commercials, hey, ho, is that the work we go? So it's the last one. It's shoring up the shore.
Is that your final answer?
Might as well be, yeah. I don't think it's right, though.
It's not. It is the CEO's salary in response to shareholders' complaints.
Ah! That's a ripoff. All right, so...
I didn't say anything about the shareholders. All I said was they were cutting the CEO's salary.
You did. All right, so at the end of 5 innings, the score is Dr. Ross 4, Dr. Smith 0.
That's right. All that happened there was that you didn't continue to kick my butt.
You must answer this one correctly to have a chance to win. Otherwise, you are mathematically eliminated from winning.
Otherwise, it becomes a really fun game.
Top of the six. A few weeks ago, we spoke of the third annual Name of the Year tournament, in which real people's names are bracketed, a la college basketball's March Madness tournament, in a best name contest. That contest is now down to the Elite Eight. Featured in the Elite Eight of the Name of the Year tournament are the top 4 seeds, including the overall number 1 seed, Kobe Buffalo Meat, an Illinois State University football recruit. But while all the top seeds are still in action, who's the tournament's true Cinderella, the lowest remaining seed still in the tournament?
Dude, okay, all right, great. Yeah?
Oh, John's favorite. If you'll recall, I had one name that I said was the best one and should win. My favorite and picked to go all the way, Faraj Fardass. B, Boat. That's B-O-A-T-S. B-O-T-E-S. C, Aphrodite Lovecomb. D, Bird Love God. E, Eliza Fox Heath. Who is the lowest seeded member of the Elite Eight in the Name of the Year tournament? Faraj Fardass, Boat, Aphrodite Lovecomb, Bird Love God, or Eliza Fox Heath?
I don't know. Aphrodite Lovecomb.
Aphrodite Lovecomb, Bird Love God, and Eliza Fox Heath all were expeditiously dispatched by 14th seed Boat. Faraj Fardass is still in the tournament, but Faraj Fardass is a 3rd seed. The answer is Boat.
Oh,
and Boat works for a mining company in South Africa, and his job is to combat illegal mining on its properties in South Africa. So he's keeping the bad miners out while keeping the good miners in. And Boat is all the way into the Elite Eight. And Boat is a real person who does a real job that has importance. You are incorrect.
Yeah, no kidding. Thank you.
I now need exactly one correct answer from me or a one wrong answer from you to clinch the big prize for the week. And you're going to love question 7, but it's my turn.
Yes, it is, and you're going to love this.
I will.
Which of these casting decisions was not announced this week in Variety magazine?
Oh, God.
Was it A, Amy Adams as Lynn Cheney, B, Christian Bale as Mad Dog Dick Cheney, C, Margot Robbie, or Robbie, I believe it's Margot Robbie, as...
It's Robbie.
Yes, Margot Robbie as Liz Cheney, or D, Steve Carell as Donald Rumsfeld. Which of these was not announced this week in Variety magazine? Amy Adams as Lynn Cheney, Christian Bale as Mad Dog Dick Cheney, C, Margot Robbie as Liz Cheney, or D, Steve Carell as Donald Rumsfeld?
Well, I can't imagine why anybody would want to watch anything that would feature more than one member of the Cheney family, and that's being generally one. So apparently there is some, God knows why, movie about the Cheneys, So I'm going to go counterculture and go with Steve Carell as Donald Rumsfeld because it makes sense that he would play Rumsfeld, but the answer is Steve Carell.
The answer is not Steve Carell. It is Margot Robbie. I threw that one in. The other three casting.
Why did anyone? All right.
There's a Dick Cheney movie coming out. A Mad Dog Dick
Why?
movie.
Why?
Why not?
Okay. At the end of 6 innings, the score is Dr. Ross 4, Dr. Smith 0. The magic number is still 1 for me to clinch the big prize of the week.
But I'm still alive.
You still can tie. If you answer all 4 correct and I answer all 4 wrong, you can still tie. Someone known as, quote, the Jewish Patton, that's Patton, unquote, came up in the news this week. Who is or was the Jewish Patton? A, Don Rickles' mother. That was the late comedian's nickname for his domineering Jewish mom. B, former Israeli defense minister and hero of the country's 1948 War of Independence, the one-eyed Moshe Dayan, subject of a new biography entitled The Jewish Patton. C, Daniel Barenboim, famed orchestra conductor in the memoirs of one of his musicians in the Jerusalem Philharmonic, speaking about Barenboim's campaign to perform the works of anti-Semitic composer Richard Wagner during Barenboim's tenure as conductor. D, film legend and studio chief Jack Warner, one of the many Jews in the early days of Hollywood who adopted waspy names to avoid discrimination, who built a movie empire, including producing the Oscar-winning Patton, mentioned in a retrospective piece on Warner Brothers Studios. Or E, comedian Sarah Silverman, jokingly referring to agent extraordinaire Ari Emanuel at a charity dinner this week. I have tied so many of the previous questions into this one. It's a confusion. Who is or was the Jewish Patton? Don Rickles' mother, Moshe Dayan, Daniel Barenboim for insisting that Wagner be played at concerts in Jerusalem, Jack Warner, who changed his name as a Jew so he would not be discriminated against, or Sarah Silverman talking about super agent Ari Emanuel.
The Don Rickles one sounds so good. It sounds so good. I think I'm going to go with that. I'm going to go with Don Rickles.
I'm so proud of you, and I'm so happy that you
Yay!
got that.
I'm on the board. Oh man, I'm still alive. That's fantastic.
That was, and we had to have Don Rickles in this because once again, another legend has passed us, and we may never see another one. It's not, Andrew Dice Clay tried to be Don Rickles. Andrew Dice Clay was just an idiot. He was offensive and an idiot because it looked like he meant it. Don Rickles was brilliant because he didn't mean it. He was just having fun with people. And, and Don Rickles could have called his mom the Jewish Patton, and it would have been fine. People would have. A moment of collective silence for Don Rickles.
Yes. And
Very good. You're on the foot, and you are still mathematically alive.
Thank you. I'm very excited that I got that one right. Okay. Here you go. Results of a 2016 Gallup poll were released this week. According to those surveyed, which institution is least trusted among the American people? Is it A, Congress, B, banks, C, the Supreme Court, or D, television news?
It's Congress, because Congress always ranks low. There's no doubt. It's Congress. Final answer.
Yeah, it is. It is Congress. All right. Well,
Where is the fanfare music for clinching the victory?
Yeah, no. The program has to continue.
And I have 3 great questions left.
Exactly. So, I have great questions for you too. You're going to get them right though. All right, go ahead.
This is for your dignity. High school journalists this week uncovered a major bit of news or fake news. What was it? Students in Plattsburgh, New York, exposed a high school-based drug ring that had bribed school administrators to shut up by paying them off. B, the editorial board of a Pittsburgh, Kansas high school exposed that its incoming principal had embellished her credentials, including getting her advanced degrees from a so-called diploma mill. C, during a routine photo shoot of the school board for the school yearbook at Harrisburg, Pennsylvania's Bishop McDevitt High School, Editors noticed a plastic bag of cocaine in the briefcase of a board member. The resulting photo and social media outcry led to a confession and arrest of the member, a business leader, and his resignation from the school board. D, the editor of a Parkersburg, West Virginia high school newspaper exposed a sex ring in the school when she witnessed it during a trip to the girls' room while working late after school on the paper's April Fool's issue. Or E, a Shippensburg State College journalist covering an anti-Black Lives Matter demonstration in nearby Chambersburg, Pennsylvania, uncovered a prostitution ring with ties to fraternities at the college when she was solicited by a fraternity member who was protesting at the event. There was some school journalism, fake news, real news exposure that was done this week in a city with a burg in its title. Plattsburgh, New York, and a high school drug ring. Pittsburgh, Kansas, and a principal embellishing credentials including a degree from a diploma mill. C, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and a cocaine scandal involving a elected school board member. D, Parkersburg, West Virginia, and a sex ring in the girls' room. Or Shippensburg State College and a prostitution scam run out of fraternities. What is the bird of the week?
We're going with Pittsburgh, Kansas, and the principal's diploma mill diploma.
And you read the story, didn't you?
No, I didn't. I just assumed that of all those things, you would read that and say, I got to make a question out of that.
And you are correct, and you are correct.
Thank
Pittsburgh, Kansas, by the way, is spelled H-less. Unlike the city in Pennsylvania. But in fact, the school board had issued a news release without checking background or without having had the background check completed on this person. The editors of the student newspaper then said, oh, good, we'll interview her and put it in the newspaper. When they started asking her basic questions, like where she went to school, she was kind of skirting the answers, and the journalist did some investigation. And they found out that she had been working in the United Arab Emirates as the superintendent of the school there, and had been she apparently offended the Emiratis, and her license had been suspended from there. She lied about her undergraduate degree because the University of Tulsa has no fine arts program, and they figured that out too. And she went to some school where she did get her master's and doctoral degrees, but it's known to be a diploma mill. But it is not a diploma mill with which you and I are familiar. So you are right. It is student journalist at the high school newspaper in Pittsburgh, Kansas.
You're not going to name the diploma mill?
I could find it if you would like. I will do that as we speak.
Yeah, as you answer this question, okay? Please distract yourself as you tell me who tweeted this on Friday morning. Quote, self-reliance characterized the first settlers in this country, and the Constitution exemplifies that spirit. Was it A, the Heritage Foundation, B, the American Enterprise Institute, C, the Brookings Institution, or D, the Cato Institute? Self-reliance characterized the first settlers in this country, and the Constitution exemplifies that spirit.
Heritage, Cato.
Heritage Foundation, American Enterprise Institute, Brookings, and Cato.
Okay, so this is, again, inductive reasoning. The reason why that would have been tweeted on Friday morning is because that's the day that the nuclear option went into effect, and that Judge Gorsuch became Justice Gorsuch, and the group that ran ads on his behalf and multi-million dollars behind him was Heritage. Therefore, the answer is Heritage. It is a tautology.
That is a tautology, and you are you are correct. You are well done. That was amazing. Even though it doesn't say anything about any of that. Really, it's about self-reliance. It
was a brilliant question, by the way. It was really good.
You're having a brilliant day. That's all I can say.
It was really good, and if you had said this week versus Friday morning, I might not have figured it out, but I got it. The college, the school from which the soon-to-be principal Amy Robertson has resigned in Kansas is a school called Corlins University. Corllins University is an unaccredited online school. She says she received her degrees before the university lost accreditation.
Well, that's very interesting. Thank you. I didn't know it.
She received her degrees, she says, in 1994, her master's, in 2010, her doctorate. She said there was no issue when she received the degrees from Corlins those years. She decided to comment on questions posed by the students about her credentials because she said their concerns are not based on facts. But she did step down nonetheless, and she is probably going to stay in Dubai.
Wow.
Dubai, bye.
Bye. All right, give me a chance to win. I want to win. I want to be a winner.
One that's so central. I said at the beginning of this call that you would hear American Carnage again. Here it is. Our favorite term about our co-host City of Residence came out this week. How was, quote, American Carnage used? A, the president used it in one of his many anti-Chicago tweet rants. B, it was the title of a huge expose on the opioid crisis published by a think tank, the Institute of Religion and Public Life. C, a Freedom Caucus member used it in referencing the resurrection of the health care bill. D, a Freedom Caucus member used it to echo the president's words about inner city America, then kind of apologized when a few of his urban constituents complained. Or D, the Tennessee-based waste management company used the term in its marketing efforts to attract business from cities. How was American Carnage used this week? By the president dissing Chicago, a report on the opioid crisis published by a think tank, Freedom Caucus member talking about the health care bill coming back to life, a different Freedom Caucus member talking about the president's use of inner city America, or a waste management company trying to promote business in cities.
I'm going to go with my favorite, which is the caucus, the Freedom Caucus member who used the phrase to talk about cities and then had to apologize.
Because there are Freedom Caucus members who have fractions of their districts in urban areas. So some of them do have American Carnage-type constituencies. Unfortunately, it was the title of a huge paper on the opioid crisis, published by the Institute on Religion and Public Life. Oh. It says American Carnage. I loved it. You tied together two things that we hear about just about every week in the show, American Carnage and opioid. Now they are related. Okay, heading to the bottom of the eighth, the score is still 6-2. I am ready.
Okay.
For question 9.
California Congressman Kevin McCarthy is a longtime supporter of Don Cheeto and has been rumored to be on a short list of candidates to replace Steve Where's My Hood Bannon following this week's Game of Thrones shakeup at the White House. McCarthy started a business after high school and then sold it to pay his way through his undergraduate at CSU Bakersfield. What was that business? Was it A, deli called Kevin O's, B, a bar called Kevin O's, C, a deli called O. Kevin's, or D, a stationery store called Red Tape? What?
I did hear that he was a candidate to replace Steve Bannon.
Yes. Well, I'm asking you, California Congressman Kevin McCarthy started a business directly after high school and then sold that business so that he could pay his way through college. What was that business? Was it a deli called Kevin O's, a bar called Kevin O's, a deli called O. Kevin's, or a stationery store called Red Tape?
Okay, well, he was in college, so he couldn't have...
No. This is after high school, but before college.
Right, but he was underage, so he couldn't have started a bar. Okay, Kevin McCarthy, you've ever heard him speak, is basically not only unintelligible, practically illiterate. So he would have nothing to do with the stationery store. So it's a deli, and it really doesn't matter whether it was called O. Kevin's or Kevin O's. And I don't know why it would be an O, because his name is a Nick, so I'm getting O. Kevin. It's a deli called O. Kevin.
You are so close. It's a deli called Kevin O's. Oh.
Okay, I don't know. All right, but again, deductive reasoning was very useful there. All right, so we are entering the final countdown. The top of the 10th.
That's right.
And the score is 6-2. And I have another Paul Ryan-oriented question to complement your Paul Ryan question from earlier.
Great.
All right, here we go. In the ongoing palace intrigue over the current Speaker of the House, the quote of the year was added to the mix. Quote, Ryan is probably safe as Speaker because nobody particularly wants to be Henry VIII's next wife. What great wit and apparent news whore uttered this gem? A Freedom Caucus member postulating on 22 more months of likely gridlock. B, a freshman Democratic congressman laughing over Republicans' problems now that they're governing not so well. C, a Chicago financial services consultant with no apparent connection to Washington. D, a senior staffer to a Republican House leader anonymously dissing the Freedom Caucus. Or E, an anonymous White House staffer taking great pride in Paul Ryan's misery. The quote is, Ryan is probably safe as Speaker because nobody particularly wants to be Henry VIII's next wife. Who said this? A Freedom Caucus member? A freshman Democrat? A Chicago financial services consultant? A senior staffer to a Republican House leader ditching the Freedom Caucus? Or one of the many anonymous people in the White House dissing Paul Ryan?
I'm going to go with the anonymous White House leaker.
That makes great sense, doesn't it?
But it's not correct. I can hear it. I can hear it. Yeah.
It's the Chicago financial services consultant.
What?
And I don't know why, but it is.
I don't know why. Man, this has been a challenging quiz. I'm glad it's not a washout. I'm very glad it's not a washout.
But the quote is great because nobody wants to be Henry VIII's next wife, and that's why Paul Ryan's going to say Speaker of the House. It's a great quote. I mean, I don't care if he's his name was all over the media. His name is Crow or something, and I don't know why, how he got, maybe he has Washington connections, but I went to the website, and it's a financial services company located right here in American Carnage, America's Carnage Central. So I don't know. Perhaps this man could sell igloos to the Eskimos. I don't know. But Paul Ryan's job is safe, he says, because nobody wants to be Henry VIII's next wife. And that concludes the top of the ninth inning. The score is Dr. Smith has finished with a grand total of 2 for this week.
Well, here's your final question.
I bet it's a dandy.
And it relates back to the earlier question, that same 2016 Gallup poll. According to those surveyed, which of these is most trusted among the American people? Is it A, professional sports referees, B, higher education, C, medical professionals, or D, the military? Which of these is most trusted by the American people according to a 2016 Gallup survey released this week?
Well, the obvious answer is the military, but I don't think you would make that your last question, knowing it could be a critical determinant of the winner of the week if it were something that were that blatantly obvious. So I am going to reverse the inductive reasoning and go deductive. And they would not, it's medicine. They would not put sports referees in there, although that's a really, really good option. The answer is medical professionals.
The answer is the military. John, you knew it. You knew it. Do no
I was being charitable.
wrong. I know.
Oh, but you know what? That may not necessarily have been your last question by design. It turned out that way. We were so far behind.
It was actually question 7 out of 10.
Yeah.
Question 6 was the other Gallup poll question. I chose to just give up on that because I don't want to say I gave up on the game, but I gave up on winning, and that's why.
Yeah.
That's why I succeeded as much as I did today. John, however, you won. You won.
We did not invoke the misery, or whatever they call it, the charity rule. We just played it out, and the final score is an impressive 6-2, and that's with my only getting 2 of the final 4 correct, final 6 correct.
Yes, it was an amazing day here on Trigger Warnings.
It's an amazing day here on Trigger Warnings. But you know what? Let's look on the bright side. You got the Don Rickles question right.
I did. Jewish
And
patent.
In this, and you got the one about the student journalist cracking the fake news story.
Yeah, that was a good one. And you found out there's going to be a Dick Cheney movie.
Why? So it's Amy Adams, Christian Bale, and not Robbie, whatever her name is.
That's right.
She was the one from the Wolf of Wall Street. Margot Robbie was from the Wolf of Wall Street, was she not?
Guess who's directing this? Yes, she is. Guess who's directing this?
Ron Howard.
No, the same person that directed The Big Short.
Who's that?
I don't know.
By the way, in speaking several weeks ago, not on the show, you made a factual misstatement that I need to correct.
Excellent.
Because it's important. When you were talking about La La Land, you raved about it, and you said that it was the director's first film, Damien Chazelle, who of course went on to win the best actor Oscar directing award. It was not Damien Chazelle's first film.
What do you mean? What do you mean first film? First film that got made?
You said it was his first film.
It is, and he went to a Hollywood producer and they said, no, this wouldn't fly. So then he went and made a different movie because he couldn't get funding for that one.
Right, and the movie he made, okay, so that was not clear. And the film, have you seen the film that he made while he was trying to get funding for this?
No, have you?
Do you know the name of the film?
Yes, it's Whiplash.
Whiplash, which 2 years ago earned a Best Supporting Actor award for the guy who does the Farmers Insurance commercials. His name is what? Anyway, Whiplash is an incredible film. It's about a drummer at one of these really high-end, very competitive music academies, and the guy who won the Academy Award, whose name I will reveal in any second, is the band director, the jazz band director, J.K. Simmons. J.K. Simmons won an Academy Award for his portrayal of the abusive jazz band director who drives the character named Andrew, played by Miles Teller, into exhaustion and frustration and out of school. And that was an incredible film, Whiplash. I highly recommend it. It's very disturbing in a lot of ways. And the movie is called Whiplash because the famous chart that he's working on playing in triple time as a jazz drummer is called Whiplash. That's a great double entendre. It is really it's really a fantastic film.
Wow. Hey, I'm glad to hear it. I'm glad to hear it. My son is obsessed with that. He's obsessed with La La Land, and he really wants to see Whiplash. And I have not seen it yet, but I said, dude, it's probably not age appropriate.
It's very disturbing, but it's really, having played in a jazz band, and having played through college and, having had formal training and all that, and not being in a music academy. But I mean, it really captures the kind of, really hyper competitive, cutthroat world of the music academy, or the prep school or whatever. Music, it's really, it's highly recommended. I think it's R-rated. It's very hard to watch, but the music is great. The environment that is set up around it. Because the music director is constantly rotating the drummers in and out. Because if one can't get the first two bars right, he just says, "Stop! Everybody, stop! You get out. Get somebody in on the drums. Boom!" And it's like one of these tracks where the drummer has to get the thing going at like 180 beats per minute, and he's like, you just imagine, just like Buddy Rich and Gene Krupa and all these great famous jazz drummers, like seeing them like sweating and stuff flying all over the place. It's bad. So let's just say I would, in a minute, I would see Whiplash over La La Land. But Damien Chazelle is a very talented man, and if this was the film that got him the cred to get the money to make La La Land, to get an Academy Award for himself, then more power to him.
Will you go see his next film?
What is it?
I believe it's a movie about Buzz Aldrin. No, I'm sorry, Neil Armstrong.
Let's see. He has 5 director's credits. The next one is called First Man. It is due out next year, and it is about Neil Armstrong.
Thank you.
It's based on the book First Man: The Life of Neil A. Armstrong. Do you know who stars presumably as Neil Armstrong?
Neil Patrick Harris?
I will give you a clue. As far as I'm concerned, I hope he doesn't sing or dance in it.
Oh, it's Ryan Gosling.
It is Ryan Baby Goose. That is correct.
That is correct. I bet it'll be good. I bet it could be good.
Maybe he'll turn it into a musical.
Oh, I hope not. All right, well.
On the moon, guys. I could see a little tap dancing on the astronaut suit on the craters of the moon, and because the film, if it's not good, a film about astronauts, it really craters.
Oh! Next week, folks, more of this nonsense featuring John Ross, Chris Smith, another quiz, another chance to be a winner. We'll catch you then. What's that?
And much happiness.
Much happiness to everybody. Have a great...
It's an hour of happiness. It's an hour of the quiz of happiness.
Have a very good week, everybody.